parking his car. We know we need to have Sean up in here. I got Mark Mishler somewhere. Right over there. To Sean, I saw Terrell. Tamar, I know Tamar was right behind me, so got Tamar. So we are going to get started. My name is Jamaica Miles, but let's do this right. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know what's crazy is I was worried I was going to have to give y'all some motivation, and I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to do that because there's lots of reasons why people are here today. Whether it's because of sadness or anger or frustration or the fact that the rest of y'all figured out shit that we already knew. There's lots of different reasons why we're here. But what we need to remember is what's going to keep us here. What needs to keep us here, not just today, because we should have been here 2 months ago. Should have been here 4 months ago. Could have been here 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. This isn't new. But what needs to keep us, is the fight for peace, for freedom, for liberation, for justice, and to an end of the state-sanctioned violence that we're standing up against today, right?
Right.
So we are going to get started again. My name is Jamaica Miles, co-founder of All of Us, Black-led grassroots organization here in the Capital District. The way that this came about, where is Sha Young? Park in the car. Because trust me, we definitely not really getting this started before Sean gets here. Yeah. There's no starting without Sha Young. The way this happened was a phone call between All of Us and Center for Community Alternatives. Got on a phone call and said, something has to happen in Albany. There's no way that this goes down and we don't have something happen in Albany. And then it was a quick phone call to a whole bunch of other people because everyone agrees that this is a travesty.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees that Robert Brooks did not have to die.
No peace.
Everyone agrees that we see lynchings inside our jails and prisons every single day.
That's right.
And so we stand here today in front of the governor's mansion to in which they blocked access. Right? This is the people's house. It's supposed to be the people's house. But they blocked the sidewalks. They blocked the streets. This is not keeping us safe. So we stand here today, and I'm quickly going to go through, there's almost 20 organizations and more, right? This is just a list of names that we were able to collect before this happened. We know that there's more. Albany Social Justice Center, Capital District Working Families Party, the Capital Region Ceasefire Coalition, Center for Community Alternatives, Center for Law and Justice, Citizen Action of New York, the Community Rising Project, the Hampton Institute, Hudson Catskill Housing Coalition, Jewish Voice for Peace Albany, Loud for Change, New York State Jails Justice Network, the Palestinian Rights Committee of Albany, Pillars of Promise, the Queer Palestinian Empowerment Network, Saratoga Black Lives Matter, Troy for Black Lives, United Muslim Alliance of Albany, We Are Revolutionary, and everyone else that needs to shout out their orgs can shout them out right now. There are so many different organizations here in the Capital Region and across the state that are demanding justice. So as we get started, it is indeed my honor to introduce the first speaker, co-founder of All of Us, Sha Young.
It's a blessing to see every one of you here today. It is a shame that we have to do this again. Another murder. Another person killed by the hands of the state. We're at another rally, another press conference, and another march. When is it going to end? How many times do we need to come out? What do we need to do different?
They need to be held responsible.
They need to be held responsible. Every single person in the state, from the Governor Hochul down, need to be held accountable for the lives that are lost in prisons in New York State.
Yes. Right.
This is not new. as many of you that are here today know, if you have family members, if you've been incarcerated yourself, if you give a damn about humanity, you know that this won't be the last time we hear. You're gonna have to come out again and again. So I'm looking at all of you that are here today to hear us speak, to take pictures, to take video, and I'm holding you accountable to stand up. Because the power is with who? Us. The power is with the people. The power is with the people. And we need to stand up and we need to take action when these things happen. Because there's a long list of dead. There's a long list of the dead here in New York State, in New York State prisons, and on our streets. We gotta do better. We gotta do more. And I'm so grateful for you to be here today, but I need you to take action beyond today. Absolutely. Just like what happened to Robert Brooks ain't just happened to Robert Brooks. That's a daily event that happens inside prisons. That's right. All over our country. That's right. It just don't end in death all the time. And it ain't captured on film for us to see. People have been crying. Families have been crying for their loved ones. Yes, for their loved ones. Trying to hold someone accountable.
Well, we staying here traumatized today.
Exactly.
But he inside traumatized.
Exactly. And we need to do more and we need to do better. And I'm holding you accountable to it to do something beyond today. Something beyond today.
Trying to get justice for Mickey. We done spoke to councilmen. Nobody wanted to do anything. Maybe if somebody came out for our meat 2 months ago, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Say that
we
again,
don't
sister.
have nothing for our meat.
That's
our
right.
meat is an Albany resident.
That's right.
And nobody spoke out for it. I've been on Facebook Live. People that follow me know that I've been out there shouting justice for our meat. We went to several leaders. An organization, and they like, oh, we're gonna wait till this, and we're gonna wait for that.
And that's been the problem. And that's been the problem for too long. So justice for our people. Justice for those that are incarcerated. Justice for the families. Justice for our communities. Justice for all. Let's stand up beyond today. Let's make it happen. Thank y'all for being here. I will get it back to Jamaica Miles.
It's a long list, and it shouldn't be a long list. I'm trying to be responsible because it is COVID season. We're going to be responsible people. It's a very long list. The list of organizations that are here today is not long enough. The number of people that are here today is not long enough. But it doesn't mean there are not more people that are calling for justice, right? We're going to keep it moving because there's impacted people that know from experience what it's like to be behind the wall. That's right. We lead with the voices of those who experience it. Right. We don't ask somebody else to stand up and speak for them when they can speak for themselves. Coming to the mic, Trent Griffin Braff of Success Map Initiative.
Thank you, Jamaica. So, good morning, everyone. Typically, I like to talk from the head, but this was just so serious. I got to make sure I don't miss any of my key points. And so today, I really wanted to shine a light on the painful truth about the foundation of law enforcement as well as the correctional system and how they all tie back to racism, and the truth that we must confront if we're going to build a just and a more equitable future. And so law enforcement in America traces its roots back to slave patrols, right? And so, whose sole purpose was to hunt down and control enslaved black people. These patrols laid the foundation for policing as we know it today. And this system was designed not to protect everyone equally, but to enforce racial discriminations and keeping this system in place. And so, after slavery ended, the same ideology was repurposed through convict leasing, the Jim Crow laws, and mass incarceration, which you see on my shirt, we got to get rid of. Right. And so targeting black communities and stripping them of their rights and humanity. So groups like the KKK, born out of the same desire to oppress, found natural allies in these systems. And so throughout history, many KKK members infiltrated police forces, sheriff offices, as well as correctional facilities. using their positions to power and to continue to allow this violence and terror and systematic racism to take place.
They're hiding in plain sight.
Right in plain sight, brother, every single day. And so these aren't just historical facts. This influence lingers today, and these policies, and that's what I really want to highlight. Policies are the things we really need to focus on change, because one thing for certain, no group is filled of all good people or all bad people. And the blessing that we seen in this particular incident was those cameras. Without those cameras, and although they weren't activated properly, without those cameras, we're not here today. We don't even hear about Mr. Rooks at all, right? And so it's important for us to continue to stress the importance of policy change. It's important for us to all go out there and talk to our elected officials about making laws and bringing about positive change that will not only impact our incarcerated brothers and sisters, but also all of us here on the streets. And so I just want to thank you all for coming out here today. But remember, it doesn't just start in here with today. The real work starts with us going out here and holding our elected officials accountable for all of the things that they need to be doing. Thank you.
Your elected officials, hold them accountable.
We want justice.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
You know that was coming. So, long line, I'm just going to keep it moving, keep it pushing. We do have demands. We do have policy demands. And as a matter of fact, some of us have been fighting for these policy demands for years. Back in 2020, we had 13 demands. We still calling for them. Coming to the mic, Lamique Taylor.
Don't give it up.
Hello? All right. Before I begin, I just want to give a moment of silence in the name of Robert Brooks. Everybody could please just bow their heads in a moment of silence and pay homage and respect for his life. So usually I too, like Trent, speak from the heart, but I felt the need to just write something to capture all of my points as well. So my name is Lamique Taylor, Albany, New York native, formerly incarcerated individual. I currently work for the New York State Youth Justice Institute as a senior technical assistance and training specialist, and urban grief as a restorative justice peer. So just to begin, the conditions and treatment in America's correctional facilities reflect this society's values. And the tragic death of Robert Brooks shows that we have much work to do. Today, we are gathered here to highlight that accountability is non-negotiable, and that transparency and accountability within the prison system are necessary to prevent tragedies like this. Every life matters, regardless of circumstance. Incarcerated people are human beings with families, dreams, and the right to dignity and safety as anyone else.
Just cover up! All you motherfucking Black Lives Matter, cover up everything I've been through! You motherfucker! You days, motherfuckers! You fucking asshole! You two motherfuckers! Y'all cover up! The justice, get the fuck out of here! Yeah, that's right! Do like police do, motherfuckers! Yeah, right, cause you don't want to release... Yeah, fuck y'all! Come on, get the fuck! Why you don't want to hear that shit? You don't want to hear that shit? Huh?
Hey, no distractions. No distractions. We here for a reason. No distractions. Stay focused on why we here to change the fucking shit that's happening in our community. Stay focused. Stay focused. No distractions.
That's on the police. Every life matters,
Every life matters.
regardless of circumstance. Incarcerated people are human beings with families, dreams, and the same right to dignity and safety as anyone else. This is not an isolated event. It is part of a systemic problem that disregards the rights and lives of incarcerated people, most of whom are black and brown. So we demand actionable responses, such as independent oversight of correctional facilities to ensure that incidents like this are investigated transparently and justly. We demand legislation mandating the activation of body cameras during all interactions between officers and incarcerated individuals with severe penalties for violations.
And cameras in the building.
We demand mandatory de-escalation and mental health training for correctional officers to prevent unnecessary violence, but most importantly, adequate access to mental health services for incarcerated people, especially after experiencing atrocities like these. We demand support for families impacted by these tragedies, the amplification of their voices, and the allocation of resources to help them fight for justice. Let us not let this rally end here. Join local organizations such as All of Us to continue advocating for change and holding the system accountable. Call your legislators and demand they address this issue. Together, we can push for changes that prioritize humanity and justice for all, including those incarcerated within the prison system. Thank you.
So we know what pain looks like. I'm going to remind people here of things. It's been a while since we've been outside, but as a reminder, opposition sometimes comes from within. It's not always intentional, but what we do is we focus our energy where we focus our energy.
Right.
And if the media decides to not focus its energy on the event that's happening today, then it will be called account to. There is trauma that is faced by incarcerated people across New York State and across this country. Men, women, in all walks of life behind the wall are facing trauma and pain and injustice. And I'm happy to introduce Ronnie Minter to speak right now. And that's who we're listening to, is Ronnie Minter right now.
My name is Ronnie Minter, and I'm the founder of Sister Children Old Wounds and the Freedom of Shackle Coalition. I'm also a leader with the Poor People's Campaign and the Releasing Asian People in Prison campaign. But today I'm here as a formerly incarcerated woman. I was staying here. Okay, I'm sitting. All right, but I'm here today
Speaking through the pain.
because I can't watch that video. I can't watch that video. And the reason why I can't watch that video is because that video plays in my head every single night. I don't need to see that video to know what they did to that boy. Robert Brooks is a mental image in my mind because I've watched those officers in Albany Correctional Facility stop women who are 5'1". And if you ever see those boots that those COs wear up there, you would know what I'm talking about. So I don't need to see a video. What I need to see is Tisha James take the entire Attorney General's office and stop announcing that they're coming for accreditations. Stop telling them that they're coming and go show up at those admin buildings and walk through those facilities. What I need is for the Inspector General's office to show up at Albion, Bedford, and every other facility that house men and women. What I need also is for women to stop being a forgotten population in all of this. Because we are getting beaten too. What I had the other night was a formerly incarcerated woman called me screaming on the phone because she's so traumatized by what happened to her, the beating that happened to her. Because that could have been her. It's just that the hit didn't go the right place to kill her. What I need is for the culture of corrections to be uprooted and reimagined. Yes. They cannot continue. There is no fixing this. They do not need training. They know how not to kill. Yes. They know how not to kill. They don't need sensitivity training. They're doing exactly what that system is designed to do. They are beating, raping, and murdering us. What I also need is for them to take seriously that bill that Senator Salazar has, so they can pass that bill to take docs away from investigating themselves and put it in the hand of an outside entity. How in the hell am I supposed to maybe sit a grievance against Officer Side when his brother is the deputy security? How am I going to tell on Mr. So-and-so when his wife is upstairs? How am I going to sit in a solitary housing unit with a wife that's mad because my friend is sleeping with her husband? That's what's happening in those prisons. And it's not just the prisons. I need us to think. It's the city jails and the county jails. I have watched them beat the hell out of women in Nassau County Jail, in Albany County Jail. It's happening everywhere. So please, as we uplift the murder of Robert Brooks, let's remember that there's someone right now getting raped, getting beaten, and damn near killed. Thank you.
Right now.
We want justice!
No justice, no peace.
And we do have some representatives here that are going to speak to that political side, the policies and laws that need to be changed, because we do have immediate demands, including the immediate fire and deny pensions to everyone involved in the murder of Robert Brooks, everyone involved in the lynching of Robert Brooks, and that includes those who stood by and watched, because there is no being neutral in sides of oppression. Pass the Second Look Act, Earn Time Act, Marvin Mayfield Act to overhaul New York's racist and unjust sentencing laws and bring our loved ones home. While accountability must include the firing of those who murdered Robert Brooks, it can't stop there. Y'all heard what Ronnie said. She's not playing. Robert Brooks' murder is not an isolated incident. It epitomizes a system that thrives on perpetual punishment. New York's sentencing laws have fueled mass incarceration and torn black and brown families apart for generations, leading to over 30,000 people languishing in these violent institutions. By orienting our prison system towards endless punishment rather than transformation, because the prison was not meant to rehabilitate anybody. Our current sentencing laws seed more violence and harm in a country that was founded on violence. We need to pass the Rights Behind Bars, which addresses long-standing human rights, including restoring care packages, enhancing visits with loved ones, stopping violations of the halt solitary law, addressing officer brutality, and more. Because when we say law enforcement, we mean all law enforcement. The cops that are down the street blocking the road and the ones behind the wall. It was said, and we need to say it again, conduct a thorough, independent investigation of all incidences and accusations of abuse inside our prisons and jails, and create an independent oversight board that includes incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people. Stop asking cops to investigate cops. And with that, I'll turn it over to Tamar Cancer from Center for Community Alternatives.
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank all y'all, first and foremost. I want to thank all of y'all for showing up, because we've been doing work in the city, and sometimes it feels, you can be a bit frustrated with the turnout, but I'm glad we up early this morning ready to fight. So I want to speak about accountability and transparency. Justice impacted people are some of the most accountable people. When you do that time, we're being held accountable for the wrongs that we did in society. Absolutely. When we come home and we're on parole and we got all these somewhat unreasonable demands, we are accountable. The irony here is that docs, who were supposed to be, you know, the wardens of society, the protectors and all of that, why is it so difficult for accountability when it's the shoes on the other foot? Right? So, transparency. We heard the list of demands that we want. My sister, Amit Nixon.
Thank you.
Murder has no statute of limitation. press. We're going to fight for Amit. We're going to fight for all the other people who have mysteriously died in Dot's custody. Murder has no statute of limitations. We having rallies. January, Tanya, what's the actual date for Communities Not Cages? February 4th. We are uniting down at the Capitol. Please bring your brothers, bring your uncles, bring your daddies, bring your sons, bring everybody. We want to show up in force. But I repeat, murder has no statute of limitations. October 22nd, 2 people mysteriously died in another prison, hours apart. Right? In Elmira, hours apart. In all these jails, I hear people in Fishkill, somebody in Fishkill died mysteriously. Murder, your son. Amit. Murder has no statute of limitations. I want to fight. I'm here to fight. We're going to learn how to fight. Accountability, transparency is the least. Everybody involved with that should be terminated and probably charged, prosecuted. This is what we want. And the way we get it, the people who represent us, the people who represent us, we want to hold them accountable. They work for us. They work for y'all. They work for y'all. So let's fight. Let's fight. Tell your peoples to be at the Capitol on, and we gonna fight. Peace, y'all. Thank y'all for being here.
There's a piece of paper flying around here that's got a QR code on it. If you have it, make sure that you scan the QR code because it is a petition to the governor putting her on notice. It also is your access point for all those upcoming events. I'm not expecting everybody to remember everything that's said today, but you can scan the QR code and sign a petition and then be on an email list to find out not just about February 4th, because this is a Capital District problem, right? Yes. Albany, Schenectady, Troy, Saratoga. We're in Schenectady in January. MLK Day is coming up and we're going to reclaim it. Reclaim it for what it is, not what they try to tell us what it is. So y'all make sure you keep passing around that QR code, sign the petition to the governor, and now we're going to welcome up Assembly Member-elect Gabriela Romero.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Gabriela Romero. I'm the incoming Assembly Member for the 109th Assembly District, the first Latina elected to upstate New York, if you can believe that. And I'm a public defender, ready to fight for you. And this shit right here gets me very fired up. I'm here to say that I'm disturbed, I'm horrified, I'm disgusted, but I'm not surprised. And those of us familiar with the criminal legal system know that these abuses happen in the corners and the dark spaces of prisons for years. It's body cameras that are turned off, it's cameras that are about malfunctions, we've heard it all, recordings are lost. You know, what happened to Mr. Brooks is horrifying and disturbing, but don't get it twisted, it is in no way new to many of us. And it's the abuse of Mr. Robert Brooks at the Marcy Correctional Facility, this disturbing and intense, terrible abuse and murder is a glaring example of what happens when accountability is ignored. It's what happens when abuse is allowed to fester in systems that are meant to uphold justice. It's meant to uphold justice. It's supposed to be a system of rehabilitation. And I'm putting that in quotes. I want that to be super clear for those in the back. Those of us that are familiar with this know that the system is meant to be rehabilitative, but it's not. There's so many different bills right now that are trying to help and actually rehabilitate people, that are meant to be one that's supposed to be how can we help someone that commits a crime actually address the root causes of that actual behavior? How are we supposed to help people? How are we supposed to actually address the behavior? How are we supposed to actually put people back on their feet? This is something that is so deep to my heart and one that I actually want to address, whether it's the disgusting and intense situation of DSS. If you walk into DSS, it's destabilizing. It's scary. It makes no sense. It's a maze. That's just one thing, and I'm getting beyond it. But these systems, these governmental systems, do not work for us. I'm getting beyond today. But correction officers take an oath to uphold the law, to serve with integrity, and to treat those in their care with basic humanity. But when they abuse their power, they abuse that oath, they harm individuals, but they also abuse the entire system. They abuse the governmental system. And they betray the work of the officers that actually do take their roles seriously. My parents actually worked for DOCS. They were lifelong DOCS employees, and they actually did care. And I want everyone here to know that they did care. And there are people that do care, but the people in those videos are evil. They're evil.
And the ones that stood by and didn't say anything.
Absolutely. And the people that were silent are also evil, and they deserve to be held to justice as well.
And the nurses.
Absolutely. I support Governor Hochul's swift action to terminate the officers that were involved. We need full investigation, not only to those that carried out the abuse, but to those that stood silent and allowed it to happen. Those that stood silent are accountable as well. Those that stood silent and allowed it to happen are fully accountable for the death and the murder of Mr. Brooks. Silence in the face of wrongdoing is accountability as well. Is not accountability, it's complicity. Accountability at all levels is the only way that we can begin to rebuild trust. And that starts by firing, but that also starts by what is next by your elected officials, me.
Arrested.
They need to be arrested. But what can be next at the legislative level? How can we change our governmental systems?
Work together.
This fight is not just about Robert Brooks. It's about every single person that has been failed by a system that was supposed to protect them. It is about making sure that this never happens again. It is about justice that needs to be served. Accountability must be enforced, and everyone here, needs to demand that the correctional system lives up to the values that it's supposed to be standing for. What is the correctional system? What does that mean? What is it? I'm here and I'm elected, but I am nothing without everyone here. I am nothing without you. I am nothing. I am nothing without every single person here. I want you all to remember that. I remember that too. And I am grateful as an elected official that every single person is here and that you all care about this, because I care deeply about these things. I'm a public defender. I care about the criminal legal system. I care about reforming these things. I'm here because I care about it. I care deeply that you all care about this as well. And so when I need to make a really hard vote that's going to be really controversial and is going to try and reform this system, I need every single person here to also be supporting me. Because these votes are really hard. And I need every single person here to also be supporting me when I need to make that hard vote. And I hope to have your support as well when I'm at those press conferences and when I'm up for re-election as well, because these things take a lot of power and a lot of powerful people behind me that won't support it. Hell yeah we do.
We gotta make sure everybody be accountable, because the correctional officers that did this,
They should
also
be
dismembered another
arrested and put in there with the people they beat on.
It's not just Mr. Brooks. It's not just Mr. Brooks. It's not just Mr. Brooks. It's Amit Nixon. It's not just Mr. Brooks. Thank you everyone for being here. There's much more work to do, not just next year, but in the 5 years and in 10 years. So let's keep it going.
So we are fully aware, and we'll continue to say that we know that there are so many names, that we're here because the media paid attention to Robert Brooks, but we are going to lift up the names of every individual that has been beaten, abused, raped, killed, mistreated, denied basic humanity behind the wall. Every single one of them.
No one left behind.
The name of Robert Brooks got us here today. He stands, unfortunately, as a martyr for everybody else whose name has not yet been said. And yes, there are policies and laws that need to be changed. And we need elected officials that are going to stand up and be supported to do it. It's going to take pressure both inside and outside. Because trust me, one elected official, two elected officials, three elected officials, I feel like the Count on Sesame Street. Ha, 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 ha. But we need them too. And so I'm going to ask us to listen to every voice, because we have more people that are going to speak and talk about the need for justice. And we're going to give them their respect due, because they're standing here with us. And we all want to be heard. It's not one of us, it's all of us. And so I'm calling up next, representing Senator Julia Salazar's office, Mark Mishler, to speak on her behalf.
Mark said get all the lynchers today.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Mark Mishler. I'm counsel to Senator Julia Salazar, who represents the 18th Senate District in Brooklyn and Queens. She's also, for the past 4 years, been the chair of the New York State Senate Committee that has oversight over correction. And she has spent an enormous amount of her time and resources and staff time in keeping track of complaints, visiting facilities, and pushing for legislation that would truly make a change. So I'm going to read a statement from Senator Salazar that she issued on Friday after she watched the video, which many of us also watched on Friday. This is Senator Salazar's statement from Friday. The video recordings that were made public today by the Office of the Attorney General depict unfathomable and lethal violence by docs, correctional officers, and staff against Robert Brooks, a man who was incarcerated in DOC's custody at Marcy Correctional Facility on December 9th. It should not even be possible for this to occur inside a New York State prison. Amen. The fact that this violence at the hands of state employees is happening in any New York State prison is a profound policy failure that demands immediate attention. There are several critical actions that must be taken to address the heinous and deadly violence that was inflicted upon Robert Brooks by DOC's correction officers and staff. Some actions have already been taken by Commissioner Marticello, Governor Hochul, the Office of the Attorney General, and the New York State Police, including the suspension without pay of all staff who were involved, the resignation of some staff, and ongoing independent investigations which have revealed the details we now have. We demand and fully expect all officers involved to be criminally charged for their respective roles in enabling and committing barbaric violence against Robert Brooks, ultimately killing him. We also must act swiftly to pass legislation to prevent this from ever happening again to another human being, and to fully hold accountable anyone who has contributed to the horrific violence in New York State prisons and jails. Marcy Correctional Facility cannot remain open. The brutal killing of Robert Brooks, would be more than enough reason to demand the closure of Marcy. However, there have been additional previous reports of unconscionable violence against incarcerated individuals by staff at Marcy and at other DOC's facilities. My office has received these reports, and I've urged those with power to investigate these reports. As a state legislator, and particularly my capacity as chair of the New York State Senate Crime Victims, Crime and Correction Committee over the past 4 years, I have focused my daily attention and my office's resources on trying to end the rampant violence of mass incarceration. I'm committed to continuing to pursue justice and urgent, necessary policy change through this work. I once again express my deep condolences to the family and loved ones of Robert Brooks. whose death will not be in vain. I want to add, to echo what has already been said here today, that the ability of Senator Salazar to get this work done depends on the work of everybody who's here today, every organization, of demanding that your elected representatives, whether that's Assemblywoman-elect Romero, Senator-elect Fahey, or the other representatives from the Capital Region, and every other elected official on up to the governor, recognize the evil that we see in those videos, which is not just the actual acts of violence, but those staff members standing by, including nurses, by the way, if you watch the video, who are standing by, watching what's happening, not intervening, and who are smiling. Now, what that tells us is that this was not an unusual incident.
My son is That's how they welcome the kids in, by beating them up.
That's right.
My son is in here. That's how they welcome them.
That's right.
That shit is crazy. I wish we could beat them up.
So we need, those of us who work in the legislature, need you to continue to speak up. There's, as someone else said, an inside and outside game here. We are on the inside. We cannot get the work done that needs to get done without the pressure and activism and demands from the outside. Thank you all so much. Thank you to all of us and all the organizations that are here.
My son is in that.
We know that it actually is impossible for us to hear from every single voice of those that are impacted right now. Because I know Danielle Williams was here. There's other moms that are here. There's a QR code that needs to be signed. As a reminder, there's a QR code to change the policies that we're talking about right now. Here in the city of Albany, the Center for Law and Justice has been doing the fight for justice for formerly incarcerated people for how many years, Deshaun? 40 years. 40 years. And while we are all heartbroken and upset, the only reason we get to be here right now is because the people that came before us fought before we did. And we get to stand here today to carry that torch forward, to carry that legacy forward. We have to carry the legacy of Dr. Alice Green forward, the legacy of Barbara Smith forward, the legacy of countless men and women forward that have been doing this work. And so Tashawn Murdoch is going to speak from the Center for Law and Justice.
So, can you say Robert Brooks? Can you say Amik Nixon? Can you say Robert Brooks? Amik Nixon? So let me tell you something. I'm not going to stand here and tell you right now. You're right, you did come to us for 2 months ago, and Amik Nixon's name should be heard. So here we go. What I'm going to say to you is that Dr. Green would not want us to focus on distractions. She would want us to hold people accountable. And so what I'm going to tell you is I don't care about the 14 individuals that were fired. I want the individuals that run the Department of Corrections to resign today. Because if you could stand and allow the death of Amik Nixon or Robert Brooks or the abuse of other individuals, I can tell you right now that something needs to change in the Department of Corrections. She's absolutely right. Amik Nixon's mom came to me 2 months ago. And the truth is that unfortunately, because of the systems that are set in place, organizations like the Center for Law and Justice can't do the work we want to do, the work of making true change. OSI does not work. Families apply for OSI and other complaints, and those complaints fall on deaf ears. And so we need your support. We need community support. Not only community support, but we need legislative support. Robert Brooks, Amik Nixon. Thank you.
We know that this pain is real. We know that this pain is real. It is important for us to hear those voices. We got 3 more speakers and then we want to open it up for as many people as we can. We want to be able to open it up for as many people as possible. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap one time. Because this pain is real. We know the pain is real. And we want to hear as many voices as possible. So, Lex, Lukey, Terrell, if the 3 of you could come up here and pass it back to back. Lex, Lukey, and Terrell. And then we want to have as many people as possible to speak.
All right, thank you. Thank you for everybody for coming here. Unfortunately, we have to be under these situations, under these circumstances, watching another murder on TV, another murder on our phones, another lynching on our phones, TV screens. Meanwhile, these police are chilling at home with their family right now. These COs are at home with their family and loved ones, probably getting some therapy, getting some treatment, getting some rehabilitation for them because they had so much trauma that they had to deal with, beating somebody to death for over 30 minutes. We can't stop speaking up. We can't stop being in the streets. We can't stop holding these public officials accountable for their actions. We can't stop letting them have peace, which we continue doing. In 2020, there were thousands of people, but it was George Floyd in the middle of the streets. Right now, we can't even get 500 people in the streets for Robert Brooks. That ain't right. We are rats in juvenile facilities, DFY facilities, children. This is where it starts. It starts with children getting beat by the COs, getting abused by the COs, getting raped by the COs, getting set up by the COs, getting added time on when you get beat on by the COs. And we say, fuck that. We're too nice. We've been too quiet. We've been too complacent with the abuse that's happened to our family and our community members. And we say no more. No more. When we watch the video, you see these police comfortable. They weren't nervous. They weren't looking around their back to see if anyone's watching. They didn't care. And this is what they do every day. These are isolated situations. They happen every day. And when the cameras are off, cameras ain't rolling, people are getting their heads beat in. The governor tries to water it down and say, this is an isolated situation. The COs are good. They're here for their safety. Bullshit. We continue to see them act with impunity, move because of what? Qualified immunity. Qualified immunity and qualified immunity. Without the ending of qualified immunity, none of these changes are going to happen. We can scream in the streets, we can burn shit down, we can try to build new systems, but they will still come through with qualified immunity and bail out their brothers. They will still be able to move with impunity. They will still be able to abuse people. They will still be able to be held with no responsibility whatsoever. Take away qualified immunity, have them have to pay for these bills, pay for their lawyers, pay for these lawsuits, and then see how the abuse starts to trickle down and slows down. Build a new system that wasn't created out of slavery. The 13th Amendment was set up to enslave black and brown people. What are they doing? Exactly what it was meant to do. So there's no rehabilitating, there's no reform for this system. Abolish the police system. Abolish the prison system. Abolish the jail system. Create something new. Create a community-led project that actually restores people's rights, restores people's justice, restores people's
place in the community. Create something that actually goes after what people have problems with. That means creating solutions to not have it happen again. No recidivism. That happens when there's nothing set up. You get out of prison, you end up on parole. You end up on probation, which is what a setup. They let you out with no resources, no education, no money, no rights,
No hope.
no hope.
That ain't right.
No hope. And they expect you to do better. They expect you to stay out of trouble. They expect you to watch your family starve while you sit on your ass. They expect for you to sit back and be quiet. They sit back and be silent. We ain't. 2020 was not just a fad. The revolution started again. Got reinvigorated. We must bring that same energy to 2025. Whether Trump was in office, whether Kamala was in office, this shit was still happening, right? Biden's in office right now, right?
And it's still happening.
Is he condemning these murders?
No.
He remains silent.
That's right.
Kathy Hochul, fire people. Why are they not in jail? When we do something, we break a law, we go to jail.
Go to prison.
Why are they held in a different regard than we are? Bullshit. Sure do. We demand that these officers be indicted and arrested immediately. Governor Hochul and the AG should be pushing for them to be arrested immediately. No bail. No bail. These people talk about that the people who are incarcerated are murderers and animals. The people who are watching over them are animals. No sense at all of training, a de-escalation training is going to change these animals. We have to abolish these people. We have to have them be held to the highest extent of the law, because unfortunately it's the only sense of justice we have. We must abolish the goddamn system. Keep coming out. Keep speaking up. Don't remain silent. Don't be complacent with murder. Don't be complacent. Don't let them have you only focused on Gaza. When meanwhile, people are getting killed right here in our country every single day.
Domestic terrorism.
Terrorism is happening right at our own doorsteps. And they continue to do that and exploit our bodies, our black and brown, the poor people. Well, they expect us to remain silent. So keep showing up, keep turning up, show up to city council meetings, show up in the streets, show up to these officials' houses, show up to these officials' doors, show up to city halls.
Vote them out if they don't listen.
And that's it. That's all I have to say. Fuck 12.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lukey Forbes, and I'm the executive director of We Are Revolutionary. Now, I wrote a speech out that I was going to read, but there's no reason for me to read that. As I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this crowd, I understand as a directly impacted person, I once was in not only the prison system, but I went from the juvenile system to the county jail system to the prison system. And I watched as there are beat-up squads in every single last one of those facilities and of those industries. And in every single last one of them, they have a thing in common. Every single last one of them, everyone who works there knows what's going on. They know when that pin gets pulled and Billy and Bob is the one who responds to that with those leather gloves on their hands, people are going to end up broken. And when they end up at the nurse's office, after traveling through the hallway, it is a part of her job to cover it up. When they get transferred to the box, those officers working in the box, all the brass involved in the paperwork and the transferring of these inmates help cover it up. And when you have an organization of people who are working together to commit crime, that sounds like a RICO to me. It sounds like organized crime.
Overwhelming.
It sounds like organized crime that continuously happens in our prisons, in our jails, in our juvenile facilities. If a 15-year-old is upset because he was not able to talk to his mother who is dying, it is a possibility that he would not only get jumped by multiple grown men, he'll be slammed on the floor, rubbed into the carpet, given a rub burn. And charged. We watch as in maximum facilities where inmates are on lockdown from 23 and 1. They have more assaults on inmates in these facilities where they have less contact with officers. That means officers are intentionally going into their cells, assaulting them, and ending up assaulted themselves. Right now, docs, if an inmate yells at an officer, it is considered an assault. So if you yell at an officer and now are beaten halfway to death or to death in incidences like Dante McDay, one of the reasons why we call on the ending of qualified immunity, it will be ignored, it will be covered up, it will be hidden by these people who work together, who orchestrate this crime of murder together throughout all these facilities. Kathy Hochul knows. Every governor who was in place before her knows. Andrew Cuomo knew. There's not a brass who goes into any jail that does not know who's on his beat-up squad. Because that's the officer who has all the grievances, multiple charges. That's the officer who, once he grabbed those gloves, he is thirsting to go over to respond. He leaves his unit to respond. It is sick, the system that we see that is allowed. And in this time, we are living in a weird year in 2024. We watched as Daniel Penny killed a homeless man. We watched as Luigi killed a wealthy man. The society called for Daniel Penny to be given life, but he was set free. He was invited to a football game by our now elected president. He is being paraded just like Kyle Rittenhouse. And we are watching as our system parades these individuals who kill poor people, who harm poor people. And we're constantly heard when a person gets shot by a cop, what did they do? And these incidences where we can ignore murder happening, what is society saying about Luigi, though? Society is not saying the same thing as these CEOs. It is not saying the same thing as our governor, who will act in the instant to call a meeting with 200 CEOs, their security guards, so they could create a hotline for them. There was no hotline made when homeless people were being targeted in the streets and gunned down and murdered. There was no hotline. There was no immediate action. There was no fund put together to help the people who live in our state, to help our residents, to help our people. They ignored it. They said it was their fault.
Not a finger.
It was all pointed at the poor people, the working people. It was their fault. And what we're watching as these 14 individuals did finisher moves. And if you're not familiar with what a finisher move is, play Mortal Kombat. They'll pause the game towards the end when it's over, and you can do whatever combination you want to do. And that's what a finisher move is. And when this man was cuffed, when he was being held down by their peers, they each tried a move they would not do if he was uncuffed by himself. And they were fighting one-on-one alone. They did finisher moves. They did disgusting things. They did horrible acts of power, of control. And we watch as people in power have done disgusting things for power and control. They used to use guillotines for punishment. They'll have everyone come out and watch as they behead someone and let them know that that could be you next. When they had the bull that they would put people in and set it on fire, and they had the howls, the screams coming through that bull's nose, and they had the town listen to know that you can be next. Every inmate that hears the walls rumble and the sounds of a grown man screaming or a grown woman screaming, knowing that they could be next, is the same trauma that we have been dealing with for ages under the hands of people in power, and they make it seem as if it's okay. I'm a historian, so please forgive me if I see history in the actions that we are repeating. The KKK was once a political party. There were judges, district attorneys, sheriffs.
They still are.
Nothing changed about that. These violent people who do violent acts, who act as if they're trying to create safety, they're not. We need to be real. And if we're going to be real, we're just not asking for an indictment on these officers. We're asking for a RICO on everyone involved. But that's just me, if you ask me.
Across New York State.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Louder, babe.
My name is Terrell Overton. I'm the co-founder of Pillars of Promise. And I'm also Justice Impacted, and I've been home for 7 months. I have prepared remarks today also like Lukey, but...
Okay.
The fact of the matter is that I knew Amit Nielsen. I knew Amit personally. I'm seeing these posters come out. It's just driving me crazy to understand, like, how did we get here? But I understand, though, how we got here. Because what's done in the dark is coming to light. All right? DOC is complicit. OSI is complicit.
That's right.
The commissioner, complicit. Every single last officer, no matter if they're good or bad, are complicit. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one's looking. There were sergeants present. No one said nothing. Officers present. No one said nothing. Nurses present. No one said nothing. This man begged for his life. These are things that I hear every day while I was in the system. For 22 years, I was a grievance rep. Guys came to me and said they assaulted me. I took that to other officers and I took that to other people in the prisons, and they called us liars. We here today because there was a martyr that got murdered. A martyr. There were several before him that nobody even said anything about because they never saw it. It's clear. It's in our faces. We see it. What are we going to do about it? What can we do about it?
The right thing. Speak up.
What are they going to do about it?
That's right.
I've seen this too many times. Best friends, enemies. Everybody got one thing in common. Them. Those voices that's in there are silent. Nobody can speak for them but us. Nobody. So when I come here today, I speak for the people. I speak for the people. The people. I speak for the people. I apologize. I speak for the people. I speak for everybody, all 30,000 of those people that are locked in prison right now.
That's right.
9 million, 130.
I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes right now because I feel every single hit, every single attack, every single ration that man took when they tried to stick a shoe in his mouth to shut him up.
That's right. Pure evil.
Then the finishing move that Lukey was speaking of was to put his foot on his neck. This is aching to George Floyd and everybody else that came before him. We made a big deal then, we have to make a big deal now. They went to jail then, they got to go to jail now. Now. Because if that was 14 prisoners that jumped one officer and killed them, we've been indicted a week ago.
That's right. That's right.
A week ago. And we would have been indicted with first-degree murder. First-degree murder. This is more than just a state charge. What you watched on TV was a civil rights violation. There was no humans involved that day. No humans involved. That's what officers say when somebody's off the count, that there's no humans involved. But there was a human involved. There was a human involved. Every day in the Department of Corrections, there's a human involved when they are assaulted. When we asking the governor for, we asking the governor to break up your gang.
They ain't gonna do that.
You serious?
Why would they do that?
Break
They
up your
get
gang.
rich.
But they ain't gonna do that because they get rich. So we gotta be out here in the street and we gotta fight. So we demand people pass the Second Look Act so we can bring our people home. We demand people pass the Marvin Mayfield Act so that we can bring our people home. We demand that they pass the Earns Our Time Act so that we can bring our people home. So that when they don't have nobody in there, they can do exactly what they're doing right now. They can hide everything that they're doing because they'll be doing it to themselves. Peace.
We've got a number of people where we're doing an open mic because we know that there's a lot of voices, there's a lot of people that have things to say. I want to remind everybody, we're talking about cops. Whether they are behind the wall or in our streets, we are talking about cops. So if there's anybody here that supports the police, you're at the wrong rally. You're at the wrong rally if you support the cops, just a heads up. But this mother that's standing behind me, so many other people need to be heard. And we're going to hear as many as we can. First, the reminder, today is not the only day. Today can't be the only day you show up. Today can't be the only day you sign a petition. Today can't be the only day you tag somebody on Facebook. Don't you just take your damn picture and be like, I was at the rally. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'll call you in, I won't call you out, but I'm going to call you. But these mothers, these family members need to be heard, and we're going to give them space to be heard today, as many as we can. We're here for everybody, right? We're here for each other? We're here for justice? And freedom? And liberation? And the humanity of every single individual behind the wall.
That's right.
Come on now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jackie Powell. My name is Jackie Powell, and I'm here for my sister, Lori Willis. Her son, Amik Nixon, was murdered 2 months ago. And I was out here walking these streets. We went to a lot of leaders, and nobody gave us any help. But that's neither here or there. I'm saying this. Black men has been big business since slavery, the end of slavery. They round them up, lock them up, so they can get free labor.
Say that. Say that.
If you Google how much they give for an inmate a year, from $50,000 to $100,000 a year, they're not putting that money in the school system. Not at all. Okay? Because they think some of our kids is not going to make it. I'm sorry. I'm hurt, everybody. And we got to do more rallies like this. But we as black men and black women, we got to teach our youngs to do better. Stop disrespecting their teacher. They need that knowledge. They put our kids in the high school, let them pass them. They can't even read. Once you turn 21, hey, we did all we could do for you. You have to leave this school system. You done aged out. Stop it. When your child have a problem with another child, talk to them. Talk to the parents, but they'll argue and fighting. They need that education. I don't care if your kids make a 60 or 100. Once you get a felony, it's hard for you to work. It's hard for you to work, especially in the nursing field, okay? I'm just saying this. Again, no justice, no peace, but it starts with us. We got to stop depending on other people to do what we should be doing for ourselves. It takes a village, okay? It takes a village. Me and this mother right here, we used to be out in the street telling them drug dealers, leave our sons alone. Leave our sons alone, not ours, and they respected that. You got to get back to respect. And we got to teach our youngs to do better. If your kid having a hard time in school, work with them or find someone that can. No child should be disrespecting an adult. That's what you for, their mother and their father. I'm saying let's pull together so our kids will wind up in jail. You got to hit them where it hurts. If the kids ain't going there, the men ain't going there, they're not making money off of us like they've been doing for 400 years. That's all I have to say.